pace of living leaves us little time for leisure. Our program will give you a chance to experience the fascinating world of traveling, extreme adventures, hunting and fishing. Each week we will take you to the most beautiful places of Kazakhstan. Today we will meet people who have a very romantic occupation. Who didn't play cowboys when they were children, the heroes of adventure novels and Hollywood westerns? But today we won't play cowboys. We will meet them not in an imaginary movie world, but in real life. Our cowboys are Serik and Alibek, and they are not always dressed in the Hollywood fashion. But they can ride the horse, throw lasso, and shoot as well as Clint Eastwood's heroes. Our cowboys are called the horse wranglers. Serik and Alibek wrangle the herds of horses. They know how to survive in these mountains and keep safe the herds they take care of. They learned it not from books or movies. Every spring, our heroes bring their herds and set their yurt at the Ushbulak Plateau. Our SUV is hardly climbing up the hills. It had rained the night before, and the top of plateau is white with snow. The clay parts of road are soaking wet. Last year, one old car had its brakes fail, and it rolled down the cliff. Luckily, all passengers survived. We are accompanied by farm owner Kalash. Along the way, he tells us about the challenges, hopes and problems of an average farm engaged in distant pasture cattle tending. He has 100 hectares of grazing lands on plateau and 400 hectares in the valley. The farm has around 100 horses and cows. In winter, the herd is grazing at the winter grazing lands, with little snow in Chilikta Valley, and in spring it moves up to the grassy high mountain pastures. Here, at the elevation of 3,000 meters, the top of the plateau is moist all the summer long. That's why the grass keeps its feeding quality until the very fall. It doesn't dry out, doesn't burn out, and that's why the wild sheep adore such tops of the high mountain plateaus. Just now our dog chased down 2 wild sheep. It was far away, but we could see they were large males. Jailao is not only an agricultural term meaning the summer pasture. It is also the way of life of people keeping ancient traditions of nomadic farming. The distant pasture cattle tending strategy allowed the locals to adapt the harsh mountainous landscape. Back in the ancient times, people noticed that the system of summer and winter pastures allows them to feed much larger herds with less amount of labor on forage conservation. At the fresh winter pastures, the farm animals can feed on grass almost all winter long, and in summer they gain weight much faster in the rich meadows of highlands. The nomadic farming is connected with a long history of Kazakhstan. It played an important role in establishing the life, culture and statehood of the nomadic tribes in Central Asia. The plateau looks like a trapeze. The climb is quite steep and the top itself is relatively flat.
Передвигаться верхом по высокогорным плато совсем не сложно.
Horse riding on the high mountain plateau is not difficult at all. The tops are flat and relatively low sloped, but carved with deep gorges with abrupt slopes. Climbing from one plateau to another is quite complicated. We pass ancient tombs. The stone hills are made of granite slivers of about the same size. The hill's diameter varies from 1 meter to 10 meters. Apparently, the more powerful the person was, the larger the tomb size was. The scientists refer these type of burials to the early Turkic era.
Внизу, в 2 километрах от нас, виднеется лиственничный лес.
Down there 2 kilometers below us you can see the leafed forest. And here at the plateau there are no trees or firewood. That's why the guys bring the firewood on horses, but since bringing it up on plateau is a lot of work, we have to save the wood. It wasn't too cold last night, so we didn't make fire. We're almost there. We still have to get down the gorge to reach the yurt of Alibek and Serik. Serik and Alibek tell us how a storm brought down the yurt 2 days ago. It was impossible to set the yurt back on again in the middle of the night, so they spent the rest of the storm under the tent until it was over. The yurt is warm while the fireplace is burning.
Прохладно, в юрте топится печь.
It's cool. The fire inside yurt is burning. Perhaps we should go inside the yurt to warm up. The sun goes down early in the mountains, and Serik and Alibek spend long evenings talking about their life. In the 1990s, the shift towards the market economy caused collapse of the Soviet agricultural system. State farms and large collective farms fell apart, and it took time for the farms to get created. Any reform in the well-settled economy is always painful. In the 1990s, during the agricultural crisis, Alibek worked in constructions, both in Almaty and in Uskamenagorsk, but once the situation with farming started getting better after the crisis, Serik felt like returning to the mountains, to the plateau Ushbulak. Little by little, the farmer's life began to settle down. During the Soviet times, the government laid roads to Jailao. It provided the herders and wranglers with housing, transportation, special machinery, forage, products, as well as payment. With the market system of agriculture, the farmers have to solve all this by themselves. On the one hand, the farmers got more tasks to do. On the other hand, they got the freedom of entrepreneurship. They can sell their products at the market prices, and they can spend all their income except for taxes and pasture rent as they wish. Alibek thinks that hard-working and energetic people can earn more compared to the Soviet times. And still there are many of those who think that life was simpler with the government support.
Вот здесь вот, в ущелье, в горном массиве Тарсай, целую неделю я буду помогать пасти лошадей и коров. За это...
Right here in the gorge in the Tarsai mountain range, I will help the herd, the horses and cows for a whole week. And during this coming week, I will have to learn the difficult work of a horse wrangler. Frankly saying, I don't know anything yet, but my friends will teach me how to saddle a horse, how to bring it in the herd. Maybe I can even learn to throw a lasso, so I have a very interesting week ahead. Maxim's first day at work as the horse wrangler's assistant started at the dawn. The horse wranglers are not allowed to stay long in bed. After a quick morning tea, Serik, Alibek and Maxim are saddling their horses and start out to the mountains.
Климат в этих горах резко континентальный.
The climate in these mountains is sharply continental. Now during the day it's very warm, and at night water in tea kettle froze down. Obviously the temperature dropped down to -3 to -3 degrees. 2 days ago we had snowfall and storm. Alibek and Serik's yurt got blown away. They could barely catch it. Now it's warm again. What amazing climate! Today our task is to get up onto the top of the plateau and bring the herd to the spring Ushbulak. The wolves appear at the plateau from time to time. Fighting the wolves is one of the main tasks for the horse wrangler. The horse path is snaking up. A grand view of the Abala River valley is seen from the top. The end of the plateau is an abrupt cliffy slope that lasts till the river valley. Wild sheep and red deer live at these wild slopes. The horse wranglers notice few female red deer through binoculars. During the daytime, the animals rest in the thick-leafed forest, and in the evening they come out to feed at the alpine meadows. There's something white down there. That's red deer antlers. Serik moves down. Judging by the bone remains, you can figure out what had happened here around 6 months before. A pack of wolves surrounded and killed an old deer. You can see the tracks of sharp wolf teeth on their bones.
На седловине мы нашли пикап, останки морала, задом.
At the saddle, we found remains of red deer apparently killed by wolves last year. It was a big one. It could be a game for some hunters, but this time the wolves were lacking. It's their trophy. The plateau slowly declines to east and ends with a sharp cliff near the Bugujailau Gorge. Bugujailau means summer pasture for red deer. And indeed, the red deer get together here before the rut season.
Мы сейчас переезжаем плато Тактай.
Now we are crossing the Taktai Plateau. It means board. Indeed, this plateau is flat, and horseback riding here is a pleasure. One of the most ancient branches of the Silk Way passed here, the most northern one.
По-видимому, в разные эпохи существовало великое множество веток Великого Шелкового пути.
Apparently, a great number of branches of the Great Silk Way existed at different times, but 3 main branches are considered in general: the southernmost through Khatan, Pamir and Vahan to Persia, the northernmost through the Taklamakan Desert, Kashgar, Kuchu and Fergana Valley, through the southern shores of the Caspian Sea, again to Persia. At night the snow covered the top of Ushbulak Plateau. Part of the herd went away. The horse wranglers set out in search of missing horses. It happened to be in the nearby crevice. They need to be brought closer to Ute. The horses of the breed Jabé are very hardy and can move on such cliffs. No other kind of horses can do it. But the horses need rest too.
После работы, после того, как конь целый день проработал,
After the whole day of work, you cannot take off the saddle right away, but you can make it a bit loose so it can breathe easier, and you can't let it drink either. Alibek sends one saddle horse back to the herd, and he has to catch another one instead. After a month in the herd, the horse has got a little wild, and it's not that easy to catch it. Even an inexperienced cowboy manages it on the 3rd time. But since Maxim agreed to be a student of the horse wrangler, he has to learn how to throw a lasso. Local horse wranglers call lasso a chalma. The skill of throwing chalma has a great value among the locals. First, you have to practice with wooden posts. Every time Serik throws a lasso, he hits the target, and for Maxim it's only a few.
собирает. Итак, вот лассо готово.
You take it like this, and the lasso is ready. Let's try it.
Yes! Yes!
After a long practice, he somehow manages to do it on the ground, but doing the same while riding the horse at full speed is impossible. That's why we leave this to real professionals. And we have to go back.